Let me give you 3 tips for climbing Mount Fuji. Make sure, number 1, that you buy heat tech. Number 2, make sure that you bring waterproof gloves. And number 3, for hiking Mount Fuji, yeah, just don't do it. So about a week ago, I climbed Mount Fuji with 3 friends, and the end result was we had one of the worst experiences of our lives. Now, there are a number of factors of why this is such a bad experience for us and why it's such a shitty hike. Poor preparation, number 1, first and foremost. The mentality was not up to snuff with regards to the trail that we chose. I think the trail, most of all, was the biggest issue. We chose what's called the Gotemba Trail. And there's 4 main trails. There's the Yoshida Trail, which most people hike when they climb Mount Fuji. There's another one called the Subashiri Trail. And there's another one called the Fujinomiya Trail. And so there are 3 average sort of normal trails that the average person or sort of beginner can hike. And then there's the Gotemba Trail, which is the one that we chose. So without much research, we went ahead and chose the Gotemba Trail purely because we had decided that on Friday night, after we finished work, we were gonna go ahead, start our drive around 7:30ish and head towards Fuji. And so when we got to Fuji, we were just gonna start our climb around 9:30 and try to summit for the sunrise, which was, you know, in essence, it seemed like a great idea, right? The thought process behind why we chose the Gotemba Trail was that all the other trails, the parking lot to the 5th station where most people start their hikes, there's usually a shuttle bus or a taxi service that goes from the parking lot to the 5th station. And all of those closed at 6 p.m. Albeit you could take a taxi, you could rent a taxi out, catch a cab for like $120. Somewhere around that range is what we read for after 6 p.m. But we were like, yeah, screw that. I'm not paying $120 for a taxi. So the only trail that was open from the 5th station was the Gotemba Trail. Now the Gotemba Trail is only about an hour and a half from our house here in Yokohama. So we went ahead and met up after work, got in the car, and I started driving.
What is that? Hour 27? Closer than I thought.
Grind, bro. I'm excited.
Hey, look at this.
Yeah, we're in the middle of nowhere.
Bro, we're walking in this. The idea was, well, we had read a little bit about the Gotemba Trail, enough to think that, you know, okay, we're pretty suited for this. First of all, 4 guys, all in our mid-20s. We are pretty, I'd say we're pretty fit. We've been doing hiking for a while, nothing crazy, but you know, we've been out and about. And we thought, you know, can't be that hard. We've seen our friends hike Fuji. It's not that hard. So sort of a pipe dream that came about after about, you know, maybe like a week of preparation. We were like the week before, like, yeah, you know, everyone wants to climb Fuji once in their life. So like, all right, let's do it. Let's just do it. No plans, no thoughts, whatever. We bought some headlamps and that was it.
All right, give me Fuji essentials. Real
Fuji
quick.
essentials?
Yeah. I got a headlight. This is
Headlight. Amazon.
Amazon. $20.
I got a camera.
What is that? What is that?
Gotta have the point and shoot out, man. Great shots.
Okay, T2. Not bad. Could do better, but.
Yeah, portable charger. Need those.
Okay. Got the Osprey, 22 liters. 26, sorry.
Some water.
Okay.
Got a couple of layers. Got a lot of shit in my bag, to be honest. Pretty heavy. A towel, because I'm getting sweaty up there. What else we got?
Fucking prepared, huh?
A little bit, bro. And then a fuck ton of soy joy. Hold on. Yeah, I got the hat.
Is that for all of us?
Yeah, if y'all want one, of course, man. On me. I'm the plug. And then a couple of these things. And now, yeah, that's about it, bro. Got my jacket. Shout out Art. Packs really well. And we're good to go.
So the first red flag was when we got to the 5th station at Gotemba. First of all, the drive there was through like just forest. It was super dark. No other cars on the trails or the streets, which was kind of weird. There weren't many other people at the trailhead when we got there, but what was funny was that there was a place where they check your temperature to make sure that you're not sick when you're climbing the trail, which we thought was pretty funny. They should have stopped us there just because we didn't look prepared, you know. So after we wrote out these little forms, we started the hike, went through the initial Torii gate at the beginning and started the ascent. So you drive up, do a little COVID check, a little checkpoint, and then there she is. There she is. And now what we were born to do, you know? So this is the part that most people don't tell you about Fuji, or at least people who've hiked it, probably because they've all been hiking the easier trail. The Yoshida Trail, the main trail, is about 4 to 5 hours is what it says online, what people have told me. And obviously it's a tough hike, it's not an easy hike, but it's not anything impossible, you know? We had the idea, it said online the Gotemba Trail took about 7 to 10 hours. And obviously most of those trail times are they're like elongated more than they actually are. So we're like, you know, we're pretty fit. We'll make it like 5-6 hours, no problem. It shouldn't be that hard. So this is the Gotemba Trail. Not recommended out of all 4 trails. The longest out of our 4 trails. But the cheapest out of all 4 trails. And so we were on great pace for the first 2 hours. We were passing people with huge poles, way more equipped than ourselves. We were going really fast. We thought, you know, hey, we're feeling good, let's just keep going. We didn't take any breaks. And we hiked for like 3 hours up until the first station. And the first station was the New 6 station, is what they called it. And when we got to the New 6 station, what's funny is that this is the first time I'd actually looked at a map of the trail, right? And on the map, it said from the New 6 station, from the New 6 station, we were thinking maybe like, you know, another 2 hours possibly. And it said 5 more hours. Up until that point, the incline of Fuji is like 40%. It's like a steep sand incline. When you take one step up, you sink back down. And it's just that terrain for hours on end. You get so tired just walking and trudging up this mountain. You're not going too fast, but just the repetitive nature. It's like the Stairmaster for like 8 hours straight. Between the New 6 station and the 7th station, took us about, I think, like 2 hours, and the wind started picking up. Nobody really tells you about the wind on Fuji, and this is the first time that I'd ever encountered anybody talking about the wind, but when I got there, holy, it's like gale force gust winds, like typhoon, hurricane strength winds, and it's trying to pick you up and throw you off that rock. That, coupled with once you enter past the 7th station, it starts to get really cold. And not only does it start to get really cold, you start to enter the cloud head of Fuji. And so there's a cloud at night that covers the top of Fuji. And mind you, we're all just walking, we've all got, you know, our headlamps on, we're trudging along. So far morale's okay. And once we started to hit the cloud, everything got really bad. Alright, 7.4 station. What are your thoughts on the Gotemba Trail, huh?
Oh, absolutely amazing. Highly recommend.
Yeah, it's for beginners. Good for beginners. Like, not novice to amateur.
Yeah, definitely. Don't pack, you know, any clothes. Go like shirt, honestly.
Sounds nice to do like shorts, right? On the trail.
Yeah, shorts. Maybe sandals, to be honest.
Maybe Crocs.
Socks.
Something. We are pretty high up. It's tough to describe how demoralizing it is to walk and just be, first of all, we weren't very well equipped, and so I didn't have a face covering, didn't have gloves, like my hands they're just frozen, and it was cold, it got super wet because you're walking through the cloud, everything's damp, and your face gets cold. Luckily I had a proper jacket, but I had proper boots as well, but my pants were drenched, and you're just getting really cold. The temperature's dropping at each hour as you get higher and higher. And it's really tough, man. It's really tough. So at a certain point, you hit the 8th station. And we hit the 8th station after about 5.5 hours of hiking, maybe 6 hours. And at the 8th station is this huge lamp, beam, sort of just like light flashing. It's like a Batman signal into the night sky. And from that station on, it says the last push, and it's about an hour and a half is what it says. The terrain switches from sort of this rubbly, sandy rock to this red sort of, it almost looks like Mars. And the only thing I could say to describe this is imagine you're Frodo walking up into Mordor. You're just walking up into hell on earth and you can't see the top and you just keep walking and it's cold, it's wet, you're tired. I was out of breath the whole time just because of the altitude. My heart was racing. And all four of us were struggling so bad. Oh my God. Absolute death. But we couldn't give up, so we just kept going. To be honest, the worst part is that we weren't mentally prepared for any of this. It was literally walking into like hell on earth. And yeah, it was crazy. All you could see is the headlamp of the person in front of you. There weren't many other hikers on the trail and it was super dangerous, slippery. Shimon ate shit a couple times. Oh man, it was so funny. So funny, but I couldn't laugh because I was so dead. And after about 7.5 hours, at around 4:45 in the morning, we summited. We were enveloped in this deep, dark cloud. The sun had supposedly already risen, but we couldn't see the sun because just everything was so dark. The cloud was so thick. It was freezing. We were tired. We were wet. We were sitting up there on top of that mountain, and we spent about 3 to 4, maybe 5 minutes, and we turned around. We're like, yeah, let's get the hell off this place. So that's why there's no team photo or anything. We were just like, yeah, we were so fed up with that hike. That was such a tough hike. To put into context, there are stations at like the 7th, 8th. There's like little rest huts that you can stop at, but all these huts are closed in the dead of night because people are sleeping at these huts. And so even if we walk by, you can't sort of get any refuge there because they're all shut down. The wind is so strong, the rain or the water and the clouds it's just so damp that if you stop walking for like 3 or 4 minutes, you get really cold. And we were worried about hypothermia, so we just kept going. Oh my gosh. The silver lining of the whole trip was when we got down the mountain. And coming down the mountain took us about like 3.5, 4 hours, which it wasn't bad. It wasn't as bad as going up. Going up is way worse. People say going down is worse. Nah, it's maybe the other side, who knows, but this side, don't believe that. At the 7th station, we came across this, and this is where things started to lighten up and we got some incredible views. Shot a bunch of shots on my Contax T3, gained back a little bit of energy, shot these on Portra 400. Yeah, it was beautiful. It was really beautiful. That was the only fun thing about this whole trip. Yeah, and we walked down that sand, that godforsaken side of that mountain, and came back down to the car and cleaned up a bit and I drove home. Drove us back to Tokyo and I slept for like the next 16 hours. And that, after 12 straight hours of hiking, that was our Fuji experience. So some tips for people who want to climb Fuji when they come to Japan or are in Japan and planning on climbing Fuji in the future. Number one, I would highly recommend that you are waterproofed down with all of your garments. I'm talking the boots. I had good boots, which is nice. Boots, pants, jacket. Make sure that you have a head covering, a beanie. My ears were frozen because I don't have any head coverings. All of these will get wet. It's gonna be cold. Make sure that the Gore-Tex is some sort of waterproof material. I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you do not take the Gotemba Trail. Do not take that godforsaken trail. I would rather take the Yoshida Trail, which is the main trail where like it's supposed to be crowded, but who cares? Just go up, have a good time. It's like 4 hours, I think, 4 or 5 hours. It's not bad. You just choose another trail. That trail should be off limits to beginners, to people who aren't expert hikers. Another tip that I would give is if you can get like a stick or some sort of like walking or hiking poles, that'd be great. That's smart. Obviously the headlamp was great because we went at night. Don't do this at night. Don't try and go for the sunrise. That's stupid. It's irresponsible. If I were to redo it again, which I'm never gonna redo that again, I would probably go around, probably get there at the bottom of the mountain around like 6 in the morning, really early, and start the climb and get up around noon. And that should be perfect time. Maybe bring a little bit of food, go ahead and eat up there, enjoy the bright sunlight, which would warm everything up. And that way you can have a good time on Fuji. Yeah, the mountain's about 4,000, just under 4,000 meters in altitude. When you get to the base of the mountain and you look up, it's pretty intimidating, especially from the Gotemba side. It's like, oh my God, we're about to climb that. And when we got back down, it was pretty crazy to look back up and think that we were just on top of that mountain about a mere 4 hours prior. But yeah, we did it. We did it, but at what cost, you know? But anyways, yeah, big shout out to my friends Shaman, Kai, and Tora for going on this trip with me. It wasn't fun. I'm not gonna cap, was not fun. Would I do it again? Absolutely not. Would I go on the other trails? Maybe after a couple years. I'm pretty traumatized from that trip.
If you got the balls, this is the one to do. Fuji's one and only, so yeah, fuck me, it sucks.
Fuck yeah.
Never use Gotemba route.
Gotemba route, what do you think?
Yeah, bro, Fuji is an op. She will fuck you over, so yeah, unless you're a weirdo, go hike Fuji, but do I recommend? Fuck no, bro.
So yeah, I hope this was informative. Appreciate you guys sticking along for the journey. Definitely gonna be posting more in the near future. As always, please like the video, subscribe, share it with your friends, share it with people who want to climb Fuji. This is a warning. Don't try and climb the Gotemba Trail. Don't do it. Don't even think about it. And yeah, I think I have PTSD from that mountain.